This was a great book to read. I really liked reading this edition. And I don't know how I happened into it, but it has nice print and it just was an easy book to read, and the fascinating story. And here I said I didn't want to start it because of the snow, because of the big snowstorm, and there was snow all over the roof and everything. But we come out of the snowstorm, we come out of winter, and we go into spring. Everything passes. The fun part of this book is the Confession of Brother Halloween, Ellis Peters, and it is his 15th chronicle. 15th medieval chronicle. So, where to begin? I guess we begin up on the roof. No, we'll begin with the religious that had come into St. Peter and say, oh, we'll begin with, I'm Mrs. Murder. This is really hard to do. I don't know how people do this, but I'm Mrs. Murder. I forget to greet you, and I am really happy that you're with me today. I always feel like I'm talking to my biggest fan, my son. But anyone else who's listening, and welcome to listen, I'm happy for you to share this story with you because it is a good one. It's a good one. It's a good one. Okay, the confession, we already said that. We already said the 15th, but so this group of religious were staying at the St. Peter and St. Paul Abbey. And there was because it was the middle of a snowstorm, there was no place for them to go, and they had housed them as best they could. And the snow was so heavy and it piled up so high on the roof that the roof collapsed. They wound up having to get up and try to repair the roof in all that storm the next day. And Brother Halloween was up there with the other monks, and they were trying to repair it. And Brother Halloween slipped, fell, and part of the shingles, and not shingles, but they called them, what do they put up on roofs? They're real hard. Anyway, they fell, and they crushed his feet. His legs seemed to be okay, although cut up, and they weren't sure if he was going to live. They thought he was going to die. And as he was on his deathbed, he wanted to make confession to the abbot and make confession to Brother Cadfael, because he said it also involved him. So we hear his confession, and he goes back to sleep. They take after he had it, he rested. He felt much better after he'd made this confession, because he had kept this quiet the entire time he had been becoming a monk, and it was eating at the inside of him, and he knew that he couldn't die with this on without being forgiven of this and being absolved by the priest, by the abbot. When he came out of when he started feeling better, he told the abbot that he was going to have to make a pilgrimage back to the place where all this took place and resolve all the issues that this had involved. But the problem is that first he had to get out of bed, and his feet had been crushed to the extent that the bones couldn't be fused, couldn't be set. There's no way that they had of doing anything about his feet. They didn't know if he'd ever walk again. They said, well, let's just get well first and get you healed first. And they let his feet get mended, and he said, I need some crutches, and he was ready to set off on his pilgrimage and walk all the way to the place where all of his problems had plagued him. So as he goes back there, we go back with him. We find out what the rest of the story is about his confession, and then there you have intrigue and everything. And Brother Cadfael was allowed to travel with him. It was a long trip because they had to walk, because part of his pilgrimage, he had to walk. He couldn't ride a horse, even though they wanted him to take a horse. He couldn't take a cart. He had to walk the whole way. So then Brother Cadfael had to walk too. but it was a hardship trip that even the healthiest person would have problems with, and it's quite a journey. So listen, read this book because it'll be uplifting in this time of COVID. It'll show you that if we think we have hardships, oh boy. Anyway, I hope we come out of this as healed and well and as blessed as Brother Halloran did. The Confessions of Brother Halloran. So for now, that's this one, and next, I didn't keep my other book in here, but our next book, what's the next book? You'll have to find out next week because I've got it in the other room. I already wanted to start reading it. I thought, well, I better review this one first. One at a time. They're so good. As soon as you finish them, you want to get into the next one. The 16th will be the next book. And I think it was about the Hermit's Apostle. I don't know. We'll talk to you next time. Read, enjoy. Thanks for watching. Bye.